Hey, all my YouTube viewers, we're back again with episode number 4, and we're going to be talking about identity and what that means to find it. So first, I just want to start off by saying I'm wearing a sweatshirt by Nice Kicks, and it's called Secrets Make Friends. And what that really means is this, is that real friends don't reveal my secrets. And so that's why secrets make friends. I'm not going to give myself over to everybody, not just anybody. It takes a special person to be considered a friend. And so my real identity, my true self, is completely revealed to my real friends. And so my real friends, they don't reveal my secrets. And so there's a reason that they're around me. I can trust them. There's a level of trust. And so let's first talk about identity. Identity, by definition, means is a fact of being who or what a person or thing is. And it also is the characteristics closely associated to determine this. So who you are can be found in who you hang out with. And why? Why is that? Well, when people get in trouble, if it's not by themselves, it's usually guilty by association, right? They associated with someone or someone's who's created a criminal, they've committed a criminal act, and so therefore by association with them, they're considered a criminal. And so they're guilty as charged. So the who's, the what's, the whens, and the wheres, and the whys, right? That all plays a part in your identity. And that can pinpoint who you are. And those are the tough questions that I want you guys to think about today as we talk about identity, who you are. When you're a certain place, are you different than when you are at another place? So when you're at home and you're with your friends and you're with your family, are you the same way with your friends as you are with your family and with your parents? Can you be that same person, that same personality, and reveal that same identity, right? And when you're at school and you're with your teachers and students and you're a student, can you be the same person that you are at school as you are at home or with your friends or in other places? And if you can't, the question is why? So we're gonna uncover that today in this episode, right? So why do we do the things that we do? Are we doing it for ourselves, our true self? Or are we doing it to entertain and please somebody else? If you're not currently happy with the characteristics of your identity, the good news is that you can change all of that, right? Your identity is something that's going to be developed over a lifetime. And your characteristics are the associations attached to that identity. And those characteristics can always change, right? And so we're going to talk about not being so closely associated with a particular identity, right? When you make a mistake, are you that mistake? Or is it just a characteristic of what was associated with what you've done? And now that created that identity that people associate you and closely tie you to, right? So we can always work on our character. And the identity is the outcome. So when it comes to identity, especially in your younger teenage years, when people come into your life, they're impressionable because you're still developing. So they make an impression on you. They appeal to you. And in some way, shape, or form, it may be somebody that you look up to, somebody that you want to be like, right? So you take on maybe some of those characteristics, those traits that you like to have and see in your own life, right? And so over time, they can make an impression on you. And now there's good impressions and there's bad impressions, right? Both leave a mark on you. But which one are you willing to keep? Which one are you willing to take for yourself and claim it as your identity? So when you're a teenager for the first time, you're starting to question everything, including yourself. You're questioning and you're wondering about your environment and everything around you, what you're supposed to be when you grow up and how you're supposed to work on that right now, how you're supposed to be prepared for it. And you're questioning yourself if you're even capable of carrying out that feat, carrying out that goal, and making it a reality in your own life, right? So a lot of the times when you're a teenager, you take things personally. What others think about you is an indicator about how you feel about yourself, if you accept it, right? And when you do that, you're saying, okay, you're giving them power to say this is who you are, right? But when you clearly know who your true self is, right? Your true identity, then you don't care about what other people say about you. You don't care if they like you or they dislike you, if they're talking good about you or talking bad about you, because you know who you really are. And so what other people are saying doesn't matter. So our world is always changing, and so are we. Nobody ever chooses to stay the same, right? Well, if that's the case, then the world will pass you by. Your friends will pass you by, they'll outgrow you. The things in your life will pass you by. The things that you wanted may only be for a season, but if you don't capitalize on that, then it'll pass you by. So we gotta always keep changing, we gotta always keep evolving with the times, right? So keep in mind that our identity or someone else's sense of ourselves can play a role, right? If we don't know what our personal true identity is, right? So when you're talking about your identity, it's a continuum of the developments over time. And it's a lifetime. Remember that, it's a lifetime. So we're constantly figuring out who we are. And the reason why we're constantly figuring out who we are is because we might have thought we were one way. But then circumstances in our life causes us to change or adapt. And then we become more of, stronger in a sense, what we thought we were. Because we were able to climb through those circumstances, those situations, right? So when I break down identity, this is what I see. Identity starting with the letter I, right? That I begins with you. You making a decision of who you are and what you want to be, right? And then it comes from the inside. That's that I, that capital I, comes from the inside, right? And it's what we see on the outside is a reflection of what we feel on the inside. But it starts with I, right? So let's establish that the world didn't make us, so the world can't break us. That's a very important phrase that I want you guys to adopt. That the world didn't make you, so the world can't break you. So from the ages of 12 to 18, you're in your younger adolescent years. Those are the early steps, the early stages of teenage years, young adolescence, right? And so when your young teens are in play, those are different stages that you're going through, and you're going to face a lot of different conflicts and challenges, right? And there you explore your independence and you develop a true sense of self in those stages. So it's very important during those stages that you understand that you're going to have conflicts, right? And a lot of those conflicts come from social interaction, social media, social audience, social performance, right? Social expectation, what other people expect of you, and then social outcome. And all of that is a social interaction of your relationships. So your relationships are key because it's in those relationships, whether healthy or unhealthy, that kind of paints a picture of the type of conflicts you're going to have, right? So when you have social media, I kind of talked about it in the last episode, that you have an identity that you have in social media. Whether you have Snapchat, whether you have Facebook, whether you have Instagram, all of those audiences you're performing for socially. So you have a different personality maybe in Facebook than you would on Instagram when you're showing your beautiful life and you're taking different pictures in different places and you're being who you want to be, and people are seeing that and they may envy your life, right? They want to be like you. Look, you have it all together. And then on Snapchat is a reality of you showing yourself in different places, doing different things, and then there's another audience with that. But best believe you have those followers based on that identity. That identity you have in Snapchat might not be the same identity you have in Facebook, and that identity you have in Instagram might not be the same that you have in all three of those social media outlets, right? If you're on Twitter and you're posting positive things, or you're posting other people's lives and the current events that are going on in their life, then you're having a different audience there. But are you taking that same audience? I want to ask you this. Are you taking that same audience to your parents? Do your parents get that same personality that you give to the other social media outlets of Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter? Do your teachers know that other side of you, that other identity, that other personality that you have in front of the audiences of those social media outlets? And if the answer is yes, then you are coming closer to your personally true self. You're identifying that. But if you have to change one identity from the next identity to the next identity to the next identity, those are a heap of identities. And let's include friends also. That's a heap of identities, right? Snapchat, Facebook, Instagram, your teachers, your parents, and your friends. That's 6 identities that you're buried under. So now if you want to find out who your true self is, you got to uncover all of those identities. You're uncovering all those identities, and you're constantly changing one uniform to the next. I like to call it 6 jobs you have. You have 6 jobs, and with those 6 jobs, you're changing uniforms, and you're being one person, and that one person can't, when you're talking to that audience, can't know the other audience can't know that other audience. That person in the other audience can't know the other person or identity in the other audience, and so you're constantly switching over. And please don't get it confused, because you might be found out, right? You might be found out, and then you'll be considered a fraud. But if you really want to be your true self, you will be able to be your true self with your parents, with your friends, and throughout all your social media outlets, right? So I just wanted to kind of give you an insight on that, and it's very deep. So if you're taking notes, I want you to write next to each identity that you display to the public. And I want you to write down why, if it's different from one audience to the next, and kind of see where it parallels or where it contradicts or where it even intersects, okay? So that'll help you uncover the confusion versus the identity, something that Erikson in his theory talked about in the psychosocial aspect of psychology many years ago. And the key for this is you're developing your personal identity, and it's the foundation that you have for experiencing a strong sense of your true self that remains with you for a lifetime, right? So how do you find that? Well, first ask yourself, who am I? Who am I? We talked about all those different audiences that you're performing for. That could be very tiresome. That could be wearing you out, right? And what that does is it causes you to hide and mask yourself, because you're incomplete. And you're only completed when you're in front of one audience, and then you're in front of another audience, and you're in front of another audience, because you're being a complete personality in each and every area, right? But what you're doing is you're masking yourself when you go to another area. You're hiding yourself when you go to another area. When you're talking to your parents, you're hiding that Snapchat personality that you have, or that Facebook or that Instagram personality, right? And it might even be private, right? Not wanting to call out anybody, but it might even be private, so your parents don't even get a chance to see that other personality. So you're hiding it, you're masking it. Why? Because you're not willing to disclose who your true self is, or maybe you're even trying to find it, but at the moment it's not complete, it's incomplete. So we're here to help you try to find that true identity and be comfortable in it, right? Because that's the only way you're going to be comfortable in yourself. So the basic virtue is this, right? When you are your true self, then you can be true to somebody else, right? And why is it so important to have healthy social relationships? Well, one reason is that when you have healthy social relationships, you realize is that healthy allows you to be even more healthier. You can be healthier when you're around healthy relationships. You can be the best version of yourself, right? There's no discount there. But when you're damaged people will eventually damage other people, and hurt people will hurt other people. It's just, it comes with the territory. It's what they've been set up to do. because they've been hurt. So they can't give somebody something they don't have. So if they don't have healthy relationships, then guess what? They're not going to be able to give you a healthy relationship because they've had unhealthy relationships all their life, right? So a person with a strong sense of self will avoid unhealthy relationships at all costs. If they encounter an unhealthy relationship, they will bounce back. They won't break. They won't cower. They won't crumble. Sort of like a palm tree. So let's break down what a palm tree is, right? A palm tree is known for having long life, right? A palm tree, as it says in Psalm 92, verse 12, in the first part, it says that you will flourish like a palm tree. What does that mean, that you will flourish like a palm tree? Well, it means that a palm tree has long life. Flourishing like a palm tree means that you will stand tall and you will live long. But the second half of that verse is this, right? That you will grow strong like the cedars of Lebanon. Now, the cedars of Lebanon back in the day, they were considered 120 feet tall, 30 feet wide, up to 30 feet wide, right? So they were considered solid. They were considered strong, and they were definitely considered immovable, right? So what I'm telling you is this, that when you establish your personal identity, no one can take that away from you. There will be no confusion, and you will be solid, strong, and immovable. And you will stand tall. Like the late Tim Story said, the great Tim Story, he said that God's opinion of you makes man's opinion irrelevant. That means you won't care what other people think or what they say. If you're an entertainer and you get a bad review for a movie that you've done or a performance that you've had, then guess what? You will be immovable. You will be like the cedars of Lebanon. You will stand strong. You will be resilient like a palm tree. And you will flourish because you know that you are not tied to that performance or that review that you got for that performance. If you're in school and you're involved with extracurricular activities, whether it be on the basketball court, volleyball court, baseball field, football field, whatever it is that you play or do, if you don't get the satisfaction of the public by a review or by a critique, guess what? Your identity is not in them and what they wrote or what they're saying about you. That's what it means to be like a palm tree and flourish and be strong like the cedars of Lebanon that it says in Psalm 92 verse 12. So your identity is something like we said before. It starts with the I, you deciding that it's inside of you, right? And inside of you, you made a decision that, you know what? I am who I am, and it doesn't matter what other people are saying about me. So you won't break. You won't shrink because you know who you really are, your true self, and you're sure of who you are. So if you like what I'm saying, feel free to hit that subscribe button and tell all your friends about it, right? We're doing something here. And I'm challenging you young people. If you like what I'm saying, hit that subscribe button, and if you want to see a topic or not in another episode, interact in the comments, tell me what you think, tell me how you feel. I would love to hear from you, and hopefully, maybe one day, you'll see what it is that you're talking about on the next episode. Until then, be secure in your identity. It is one of the most important things, if not the most important thing, that is tied to your purpose of why you're here on earth. Be strong in your identity, and don't let anybody tell you otherwise. This is Brandon, and we're out of here for another episode number 4, Sound Mind. Later, y'all.